Let's do some news.
Oh, yeah. We gonna do some news.
And your news being sponsored by
Martin Jetco Heating and Air Conditioning, more reliable than your news source.
So you've probably heard about the lost Titanic tour sub and the urgent search and rescue efforts that launched yesterday.
It's out of a movie. Out of a movie, dude.
Mm-hmm. I just, I just can't imagine dying this way. That's the nightmare of it all.
Absolutely.
So as of last night, there was no definitive result of this rescue operation. I think they're still looking. But here are the basics. So the missing vessel isn't actually a submarine. It's a submersible named Titan with limited communication and navigation controls, which is operated by a company called OceanGate. It carries 5 people, usually 2 crew members and 3 tourists. They view the wreckage of the Titanic, which, of course, sank in 1912. So the Titanic rests 13,000 feet underwater. Titan, the submersible, is capable of descending about that far after it's launched from a ship at the surface. So for the expedition, the crew left Newfoundland, Canada on Saturday on a ship called the Polar Prince. They started the dive inside Titan early Sunday morning, but contact was lost after just an hour and 45 minutes. So it generally takes about 2 hours for them to get down to the wreckage. So it could have been close to the end of its descent when it lost contact. So Titan's only done a couple expeditions. The first one being 2 years ago. Last year, there was one incident where communication broke down for a couple hours and Titan got lost, but they never fully lost contact. So Titan's only, as I mentioned, Titan has only done a couple of these expeditions, but due to that issue, that one time, Titan wasn't able to find the Titanic wreckage that day. But they went back down later that week and had a successful mission. So there's a video on YouTube that shows just how basic the controls of this thing are.
No, don't like it.
There's no GPS. There's no radio on board.
Why would you need all that
What?
stuff?
They get text messages from the ship above telling them where to go. And the vessel is driven kind of using an off-brand Xbox controller.
What?
I mean, this is so awful.
So this past Sunday night, the Titan was reported overdue. And then early yesterday, the U.S. Coast Guard launched their search and rescue operations. The unit was sent from Boston, about 900 miles from the site. The situation was immediately urgent because by yesterday morning, they'd been underwater for more than 24 hours, and there's only between 70 and 96 hours of air on board, plus limited food and water.
Right.
Not much is publicly known about how Titan is equipped to handle emergencies. Like if there were beacons that could signal their location. Like if it got lost, if it could send out some kind of signal for rescuers.
I thought you had to have that.
Huh?
Who's like in charge of that water? I don't know, that's a stupid question.
I think it's international waters.
International waters, okay.
But the U.S. Coast Guard has taken the lead, I believe, on finding them.
Okay, is there? I'm with
Who certifies the company?
I don't know. I don't know
clear
much.
the dive.
OceanGate is the company, so I don't know.
If I read correctly, it's not even, this isn't a regulated deal.
But a journalist who was on board the aborted mission last summer has been tweeting about this. He says Titan has 7 ways to rise back to the surface in an emergency, but he says the question is, why haven't they? So according to reports...
Or have they,
and they're just kind of
they
floating
have
out
no
there.
idea where they are.
So 5 passengers include a British billionaire and explorer. Hamish Harding is his name. A former French Navy commander and Titanic expert is on board. A Pakistani businessman, his 19-year-old son, and the CEO of OceanGate is on Titan.
Golly.
So trips like these are, you know how much it costs to get on this thing?
No.
$250,000 a pop.
Man.
Even then, OceanGate claims they aren't making money on the trips yet because of the high cost of the expedition, usually gas. Now, unfortunately, you're up against a lot when you're doing searches at sea. You know, there are tough weather conditions. You can't do much at night. In this case, there's also depth, the lack of location data, the fact that it's in a very remote area of the Atlantic.
And they're doing it with a Walmart Xbox controller.
Right.
Best case scenario would be you're at or near the surface and you just can't ping anybody.
So,
I want to see what this thing looks like.
so is there a chance? Is it and is anybody talking about this with different tensions in the world? If it's international waters, is there a chance that it was mistaken for something and hurt by somebody
Intercepted or
I'm just,
something?
Blown up?
I don't know. I'm like, is there a chance, or would that have been known? Like, I don't know. I'm watching.
I have
these
no idea.
World War II documentaries.
I think
and all that
anything
kind of
you can imagine is worth exploring,
Yeah.
right? Like that. You were talking about giant squid off the air. Like, could
Yeah,
there be
man.
a being that swallowed
Well,
it up?
here is a Rear Admiral from the U.S. Coast Guard talking about it.
We are doing everything that we can do to make sure that we can locate and rescue those on board. It is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area, but we are deploying all available assets to make sure that we can locate the craft and rescue the people on board.
Like
Wild.
you would think you would have
What
like
a story.
you would think you have like emergency system or emergency code. Like green code is like wildlife has done something to the ship or damage. I mean, think about it. You've seen all these videos of like the orcas that are like learning how to damage ships and do different things, and like, I mean, whales are all friendly, but like, let's say one wants to snuggle and comes over and is like, boom.
Now, remember they said
like,
it was an hour and 45 minutes after it launched where they lost contact. So that means it was probably most of the way down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something where they said it could have also gotten stuck in the wreckage.
Oh,
I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, I guess they're using this as a means to explore. Like they're also they're figuring out the kinks of like what could go wrong with this exploration. Because how would you sign up to do this when you aren't completely trained in knowing what to do in that situation? Like, I mean, I get this is the CEO and stuff, but did he have all the information? Like, did he know what he was getting into completely, or is he just?
I don't know. These are adventurers, it seems like,
Yeah.
that know the risk of doing this. It's a very risky thing.
I'm reading about it on the.
it's space. I mean, this is the same thing as would you go into space if you had the money?
They talk about the sub itself on the website for Ocean Gate, and it says real-time health monitoring. The most significant innovation is the proprietary real-time full health monitoring system, RTM. Titan is the only manned submersible to employ an integrated real-time health monitoring system, utilizing co-located acoustic sensors and strain gauges throughout the pressure boundary. The system makes it possible to analyze the effects of changing pressure on the vessel as the submersible dives deeper and accurately assess the integrity of the structure. This onboard health analysis monitoring system provides early warning detection for pilot and enough time to arrest the descent and safely return to surface. So it says it
For
has,
pressure.
that's like pressure sensors, but it doesn't say anything about like beacons.
Man.
And dude, this thing looks like a pill. You're in a pill. It looks like it's got one hole in the front. And then it just looks like
Like a solid.
looks like a Beats speaker.
Man. That's just a nightmare.
Yeah, we need Robert Ballard to go and hunt him down.
Like, I just wonder, like, what, do they have any sort, like, let's say you, I don't know, my mind's going to crazy places right now, but I'm thinking, like, I don't even want to say it on air, to be honest. It's like a terrible, dark thought I'm having. Like, do they have, like, a cyanide pill they can take because they know they're not coming back? And they're like,
I doubt
there's an
that.
out or something? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Why would you want an out?
Well,
no, I
There's
know,
a
but
chance to be rescued.
no, but like the air is leaving. You don't. Oh my God, we're gonna suffocate. Is that how you want to go? Like, I don't know. I'm
Well,
in a
it's-
dark space right
It's
now.
funny you just said that. You said something about chance of being rescued. And if there is one of these, why wouldn't you have two in case one disappears and go, well, somebody hop in because we're going to look for this thing. So now what is the protocol for looking?
Right.
Are we just waiting for a ping? Is there a second one? Does someone have the technology? One of the militaries? Does our Navy or the
Well, the
British
Coast
Navy?
Guard is on it, so they're looking.
It's a bummer. The Nautilus, which is like the best of the best in researching under the water and all that stuff, it's on the opposite side of Canada right now.
Yeah, doesn't
So
Jim
they can't
Cameron
even get over there.
Doesn't James Cameron do this kind of Titanic exploration stuff?
Yeah, I mean they got that yellow one that has like the single window, that can take pressure up to like 15,000.
Listen, I don't know. I just hope there's a happy ending because remember they got like 72 hours
Right.
of oxygen,
98 hours.
98 hours.
That will be the biggest miracle in a long time.
Yeah. Maybe
I
they're
hope-
just
hope it
maybe,
happens.
Let's do it.
maybe they pop up floating by Oceania.
And
On a
that's 98 hours, assuming everyone is probably breathing normally, not having like panicked.
yeah,
Right.
not yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No one had beans before they went down there.
I wonder.
Yeah, no farting in the sub. That was a rule.
Dude, I'm
That'd be the rule
past
if
that.
I was in the sub.
I'd be hot bagging
No
in the
fart,
sub.
no farting
I
in
am-
the in the sub.
past that. Wow.
Anyway, on a lighter note, solo travel. Has anybody gone to another country traveling alone?
Yes,
No.
I have.
Yeah, technically.
I always wanted
No,
to.
I mean not for work, but just to travel by yourself.
Oh,
What? No.
Not
That'd be
another
fun.
country.
No. For funsies? No.
Yeah, for fun. Not solo
always for
travel for
business.
work. Not for work or business. But solo travel could be rewarding, but it also could be challenging to find, places that are safe. That can accommodate single travelers. Now, a study from a luggage storage company called Bounce is spotlighting what countries are best for solo travelers.
Oh, neat.
And when it comes to safety, if you want to travel by yourself, Japan is the safest country for solo travelers in 2023.
Right
Japan
on.
is the greatest.
Thanks in part to its low crime rate.
That's
Number
awesome.
2, Switzerland, followed by Slovenia. But when you take other variables into account, like cost-efficient stays and the dining scene, a different nation takes the crown. Overall, Croatia is the best country for solo travelers this year.
Any particular cities or towns? Like
It's just the country
split?
of Croatia that not only does the whole country have low crime, but also affordable accommodations. The average hostel costs $14.31 a night.
And it's
Dang.
beautiful.
Tons of restaurants, a lot of outdoor activities, national parks, gorgeous beaches. Malta came in as the overall second best country for solo travelers, followed by Slovenia. The top 10, Portugal, Iceland, Greece, Hungary, Spain, Singapore, and Israel.
like the dream locations.
We know a solo international traveler, and she has been everywhere in these last couple of years, man. Every
That's
time I see her, I'm
inspiring.
like, "Hey, where'd you go last?" And I just saw her. She was at our event at Hot Shots right before Point Fest, and I was like, "Hey, haven't seen you much." Yeah, I just got back from Joshua Tree and
Yeah.
this
By
place and that
herself.
place."
That's
By herself.
'Cause
Like,
she-
dude, she's
I'm amazed
She's
by
been
women
to Egypt.
that do
She's done
solo
all that
trips.
stuff.
yeah, she's a rock star.
So when it comes to attractions, Iceland took the top spot thanks to the number of exciting sites they have. There are 583 attractions per every 100,000 people.
And cheap flights. They did a whole thing where they were really sponsoring a ton of
Iceland?
cheap flights from the U.S. and from the UK.
Number 2 and 3, Malta and Italy, respectively. Meanwhile, Singapore came in at number 1 for restaurants with 212 restaurants to choose from per every 100,000 people. Sri Lanka had the cheapest transportation.
Wow, that's a far one.
In fact, it only cost travelers an average of 16 cents for a one-way ticket on public transportation in Sri Lanka.
Dude, Iceland had a buddy go up there in between tours, and he and his girlfriend, they just we're just going to rent something, we'll get a cabin or something. They ended up renting one of those glass domes. It's like a bubble out in the middle of who knows where, up in some glacier or something. There's a few hours out of town. But man, the pictures, so they have a hot tub, like a hot spring hot tub thing
Yeah.
out here, and they just have a glass bubble because no one's around you, so you don't mind having no curtains or nothing. Glass bubble, and they sit in their, temperature controlled bed like this, looking up at the Northern Lights.
That's
That's
awesome.
pretty neat.
Dude, oh,
So there you go. There, if you're thinking of solo traveling,
Croatia.
those are some place for you to go. 2 moms in Detroit are, for some reason, upset after ordering Happy Meals for their kids.
Oh no.
Yeah, one mom says that her 7-year-old daughter got a box cutter and a pen inside of her Happy Meal instead of a toy
Well,
this past Sunday.
Could be fun.
She might need that someday.
Box cutter? Yes, please.
Dad's happy about it.
And then 3 weeks earlier at a different McDonald's in the Detroit area, another mom got the same kind of box cutter in her kid's Happy Meal. McDonald's says in a statement they are investigating.
Come on, Ronald.
Box cutters, huh? We've all been to strip clubs before, right?
I've worked at one.
That's true.
Scott danced at one briefly.
that's right.
Have you ever had a friend who got a little too involved with a dancing lady that night that clearly she was trying to take advantage
Oh, of the pockets?
of the pockets, maybe his inebriation?
No.
Anybody ever been in that situation?
Every time I've been to a strip club,
Yeah, that's all I'm watching.
that's pretty much happening in perpetuity.
Well, and some guys are suckers, and
Yeah.
here, just take my credit card. Just do what you want with it.
Swipe it.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
watched them all
to be
shuffle
honest-
over to the ATM.
To be honest, if you're sober, at one of these places, and you're there because you're with a group, you're just kind of passing through or whatever. Dare I say, and I'm sure I'll catch heat, but
All right.
dare I say, half of the entertainment is watching the guys that are getting taken advantage of. Not taken advantage of, but allowing themselves to be taken.
Allowing themselves.
Having a
to-
great time at
Right.
Having a great
Yeah,
time.
just
and a
know
lot of
that, like-
regret the next morning when they go, how much did I spend?
Yeah, right. Like that's half of the entertainment is just watching the absurd behavior of some men.
Yeah.
So a stripper in Miami is actually in some big trouble for trying to make some extra change. 34-year-old dancer, Yanalyn is her name. She's been accused of fraud after she liquored up a customer and weaseled $62,000 from his bank and PayPal accounts while performing lap dances. So sources saying this victim was approached by several of the dancers that night at this particular strip club. They kept giving him tequila shots. This guy was so hammered he couldn't stand up. And this Yanalyn stripper eventually took the guy's wallet and cell phone. When the guy sobered up and left around 4 a.m., he realized his stuff was missing, immediately checked his accounts. He saw unauthorized charges on his American Express card, Chase, Wells Fargo cards, adding up to $62,345.
Jeez.
Yep, and the stripper had entered her number into his phone to send herself money through PayPal.
Wow.
Busted. She claims that the guy authorized the payments, but investigators also saw text to her husband and a friend complaining one of the PayPal transactions had been canceled. So 62 grand wasn't enough.
Jeez.
Remember the story we had last week about the 76-year-old woman from Ecuador?
Yes.
Who they thought was dead, who woke up at her own funeral?
Yeah, banging on a coffin.
Yeah, like they declared her dead at her funeral. The family heard banging on the coffin, opened up. Mom's still alive.
Yep.
Update, she's dead now.
Like officially passed.
Officially dead.
Again.
So she started knocking on her coffin to let everybody know she was alive. She's died. Bella Montoya was her name. Finally passed away from a stroke while under persistent surveillance from health officials to make sure they didn't accidentally, falsely declare her dead again. Oops.
Better be sure this time.
Yeah, the woman's son told local press that during her wake last week, there were about 20 of us there. After about 5 hours of the wake, the coffin started making sounds. My mom was wrapped in sheets and hitting the coffin. When we approached, we could see that she was breathing heavily. Officials have several questions for another hospital, the one where the woman was declared dead. They want a better understanding of what the hell happened. Well, we poked her with a stick. She's not moving.
Jump the
Dead.
gun.
She dead.
Sorry.
Jeez.
She dead.
Jeez.
And finally, a rich guy from Finland was ticketed for driving 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. And he was issued a $192,000 fine for 20 miles an hour over
That's
the speed limit.
fair.
That'll
Very
show
fair.
him.
I bring up this story because there are certain countries, and I didn't know this, that base your speeding tickets off your bank account.
Interesting.
Oh, dynamic.
So, yeah, this guy was going 51 on a
dynamic pricing.
Dynamic
This
fees?
guy was going 51 on a 31.
But you rich.
So speeding ticket fines are pegged to a driver's income in Finland based on their daily estimated disposable income.
Interesting.
Yikes.
So this guy is the chairman of a holding company that has a net annual revenue of $375 million. So this is a guy who's pretty wealthy. So because he's wealthy, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, because of their dynamic ticketing, $129 plus $1,000 fine.
Man. I think I would have that money zero in my bank account at all times if I was that rich. I'd have it somewhere else.
You know what though? It's the first time I've ever thought about this. So I'm just giving you my initial thought. Doesn't this kind of sound like a good idea? As far as like what do we tend to complain about? What do most of us all come together and agree on? that sometimes people take advantage of things because of the position that they're in. And a lot of times that just it's because they're rich. Rich people get away with things. Rich people buy themselves out of court. They get themselves out of this. They get themselves out of that. I mean, think about the difference and disparity with what people have at their fingertips based on what they do or don't have as far as money. Doesn't this kind of make sense to basically say, hey, we as a society are not going to let you get away with anything that this guy was not going to get away with?
Yeah.
And here's
It levels it out.
Yeah, here's the playing field.
And by the way, this is not a record for a ticket, by the way. This is not anywhere close to a record fine for a ticket.
But I mean,
So
think about it. Think about the billionaires around us. Do you think they're worried about speeding?
No, because they ain't driving themselves.
No, I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say they get in their Lamborghini and whatever, and they're flying around. Like, I mean, they're rich. I mean, think of like any sort of
To
fee.
them, that's pocket change.
I mean, yeah, all we hear about is like, billion-dollar companies doing things that are illegal because the fee costs them less than the business they're
Right.
making by
To
doing
them-
something illegal. If that just based on that,
if you get a
based on that
$400
principle.
speeding ticket, you're like, damn, man,
Right?
that's affects you.
Yeah, but think of the $2
100%.
million
But not the
park
$1 billion.
that they donated to the city.
If you're a billionaire, and let's say you've been a billionaire for a decade, you're just used to living that lifestyle. Are you looking at speed limit signs? Probably not.
Right.
Because nothing you do here, law breaking, rule breaking, is going to affect you.
Well, eventually you'll get your license taken away.
Maybe.
Yeah, but you're not going to. Yeah. Oh, I guess. Yeah. You're.
Well, you
you're
can
right.
afford a good lawyer.
But no, you donate some building to a college and
Again, I haven't
stay there and everyone's
I
happy.
haven't thought
with you
about this too much, but I mean, think
I never
about it on-
heard of this,
think
so I
about it on the
gotta wrap
surface.
my mind
It
around
kinda-
this.
It kind of seems.
So they do this in Finland. They also
good
do it
idea.
in Switzerland. A driver in Switzerland was clocked doing 180 on a public road. He had to pay $1 million fine.
That'd be great for the economy. Too. Like,
It'd be fun to be that rich where you get charged that much.
they're probably building. Like, if you think about it, okay, so that billionaire got clocked in and he had to pay $1 million fine. Like, that goes to the city, and so they're able to make the city look even more beautiful because they're getting even more money from the tickets that they're distributing
Yes.
to the
You're hoping.
billionaires.
You're hoping it goes to.
I'm sure it does.
I
Yeah,
hate
I'm
that
sure.
Fantasyland.
Nobody else has their
No,
hands
no,
out.
you said Switzerland.
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the most healthiest
Yeah,
and
it's
best places?
cuckoo clocks and and chocolate. That's it.
And I think Norway.
Sounds awesome.
I think Norway is like consistently one of the top 3 happiest countries on the planet.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Absolutely no government corruption at all.
No, there's
the
probably
money's
corruption.
going
That's what I'm
exactly
talking about.
where.
We're not saying everything's perfect.
You
but we're
live in ugly land.
Yeah,
I don't live in ugly land.
You do, man.
Boo-hoo land.
I live in reality.
Everything's got a crispiness of saltiness to it, man. So, yeah, you and I live on 2 different
All right,
planets.
Swiss Miss.
Thank you.
Drink your hot chocolate in the hills.
I will.
You don't think this is a good idea? Maybe to think
I
about
like the idea of the wealthy paying for all this till I become really wealthy, and then I want it to
Yeah,
be
then I
switched.
don't wanna do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Then we'll change it.
That's the corruption.
Yeah, that isn't fair then.
Man, interesting thought.
All right, Heidi.
Hey,
Who lives in
whatever, Chad, or let's see, what's a name that I can name you in ugly land?
Chad? Fine.
I don't
I'll
know.
Take it.
I can't even think of an ugly name because everybody's names are gorgeous. I live in fantasy land.
Great insult.
Don't want to
Really
upset the
stuck it
tots.
to him. Boom, toasted us.
I'll find a name.
We'll take a break.